go over the explanation of the model that we went through, and then Deanna's going to finish up with recommendations, and then we're going to go to questions. So a bit of background on the Trauma Family Guidance Center is a nonprofit that was founded in 1896. Their mission is to provide quality, accessible mental health services to strengthen children, families, and communities. They have 4 locations in the Dallas area: Dallas, Plano, Mesquite, and Oak Cliff, and we decided to work with Plano the most because we figured we could help them the most with their booking strategies. They serve over 12,000 people a year, and 60% of their clients are children. So the problems that Carolyn, our point of contact on this project, she said the biggest problem they have is people showing up to their appointments. Because it is a mental health facility, a lot of people forget that they have appointments, and so they don't show up. They have about a 50 to 70% show rate for follow-up appointments, which are 15 minutes in length. And so their current solution is to double book these appointments about 1 per hour, so they have a better chance of someone showing up to the appointments, so the doctors aren't sitting in the back losing money. And so our goals for this project were to decrease the amount of money that was lost for doctors who are just waiting around waiting for the patients to show up. And we also wanted to increase the patient satisfaction so they wouldn't have to wait as long in the waiting room and get frustrated with the wait times for double booking.
Okay, so we looked at 2 different approaches. Our first one was the Bernoulli distribution, and our second was our own creative approach. And with the Bernoulli distribution, we worked with the fact that only 50 to 70% of their clients show up on any given day. So then we used 60%, we averaged it out, and Kirstin will talk a little bit more about that and show you guys how that ended up working out. But basically, it randomly generates 1s and 0s, 1s being people that show up, 0s being people that don't show up, and randomly puts them throughout the day on the scheduling. So and then we simulated using their 1s and 0s, their current booking policy, and then we looked at double booking twice an hour, 3 times an hour, played around with triple booking, and then compared the costs and the wait time for all of the simulations. And then our creative approach was actually breaking up their clients into 4 different categories, 1 through 4, based on their past show rates and their percentage. So people who showed up a lot, we gave a 0.94%, 0.7, 0.4, and 0.2. And then randomly, had Excel randomly generate numbers 1 through 4 for their current booking policy, and then we played around with the same double booking twice an hour, 3 times an hour, 4 times an hour, and then compared the prices and the wait times on those 2. So some of the assumptions we had to make is that all the doctors are going to show up when they were scheduled to show up. And because they are funded by the government, we're not sure on their agreement if they can double book technically more than 1 an hour. We're assuming they can. And that they have, we never actually got data from the client, but we're assuming that the data that they do have would be able to support our models.
So I'm just going to visually take us through our models. So what we wanted to do for the first part was just see like a regular day in a clinic, get that simulated, and then go ahead and play with it from there. So right now we have 15-minute appointments from 8 a.m. to 4:45 p.m. On our first sheet we have a little part where you can input values. As we said earlier, because of HIPAA laws, we couldn't actually see the data, but our point person we're working with has been at the location a long time and kind of really has a feel for what's going on. And so we just left all these up to her to fill in. I mean, we filled in them with like what we think would be best, but she can just, this is on our first slide of our whole Excel document, and she just goes through and changes them and it'll automatically update throughout. So these are the values that we have for today as we show the screenshots, that it can just easily be changed, so that way she can really use the model the best to like keep updating and keep making it better at the clinic. So for the first model, the 2 things we're looking at are the doctor's pay per hour and our arrival rate. So how we decided to look at all the models and see what was best is by seeing which one is losing the least amount of money. We didn't take into account fixed cost or anything. We just said that if a patient wasn't there and a doctor was idle, then they're losing that percent of their salary by just sitting there. So if they're get paid $250 per hour, then they lose $62.50 for every 15-minute appointment that no one is present at. In our first column, we're using the Bernoulli distribution. So it just generates numbers between 0 and 1, and if it's greater than 0.6, which is what we said is arrival rate, then it'll show a 1, which is the patient has arrived. If not, it'll show a 0. And so we have patients in the first column, and we have the double booking in the second column. So right now it's 1 per hour. Then we keep track of who's in the waiting room before the appointment, who's in the waiting room after the appointment, and then obviously every 15 minutes someone goes to see the doctor. So that's taken away. When no one is ready to have an appointment but the doctor is ready, then you lose money. So you have that under profit. Then we keep track of the waiting time and people. The things we're most looking at are the profit, the show rate, and then the average waiting time per person and the longest wait. So this is just one run of the model since it's random every time you refresh it changes. And so these are the numbers that we got. But what we did is we put it in a data table in Excel with 1,000 rows. So it's simulated 1,000 times to just get all the different values. And then our yellow box, which if you scroll down in Excel is in each tab, shows you the average. So in this case, for this run, they lost $500 that day in profit. But out of 1,000, they lost 568. So you can see they're pretty close to what the average is. So then we experimented with how we scheduled. So what we last saw was one option. We made 31 other different options. So we did 2 per hour double booked, 3 per hour double booked, 4 per hour double booked, and we played around triple booking. And you can see all the options here. In yellow is what we just saw, which is 1 double book per hour. And then it's also showed in a chart. So the profit, the show rate, the average waiting time, and the longest wait. So you can see the profit, there's a pretty big difference in the beginning, which made us know that we could really help to make that a lot smaller in the beginning. It could be great for the clinic. And then you can see the profit and average wait time together. So what we took away from the first model is we kind of got it all set up, and now in the second model, we experimented more with how we schedule. So as Deanna said, we want to split up into 4 different categories. And we just assigned 947.4.2 randomly. We ran it a few times. We wanted to make it look like the first simulation, but Carolyn, the contact person, can put in kind of any number she wants there, and it'll update. She can see what would be best. So we used a normal distribution and a random function for this model. So a random number will generate 1 through 4, which is the type of patient that showed up. Then there's going to be a normal distribution within that, so the data one column to the right. So if, let's say, it generates a 3, then it will generate a normal distribution of 0.4 is the mean. And on the first slide, we can input anything to input standard deviation. And so you see in these 2 columns, the percentage of people that actually came. We ran it 1,000 times again. We have the average for each one. Right here is what you can see what's in each cell, showing the normal distribution. Then we got 31 different problems again, and so you can see it keeps a similar pattern to the beginning in the profit versus the average wait time. Here's some graphs, and you can see again the profit versus the average wait time. So why we did this is what we really want to get to is our ideal scheduling. So we looked at what was good about our last model, and we tried to get the best possible day of scheduling for the clinic. So now we took away the random numbers, so 1 through 4, we just inputted those on our own, but we kept the normal distribution. So when you put in a 4, you got around 0.2 coming, but it was different every time that we run. So you could still use the 1,000 inputs, so you could get some good data. So this is an example of one that we liked a lot. The one that was the best, here's 6 different options. And our favorite was this one. It actually decreases the money they lost by $400 per day, and it also decreases the wait time. And so we double booked straight forwards, and then we have kind of a routine on pattern. And we know obviously it's not going to be possible for them to do that every single day, but we wanted some concrete evidence that when you double booked 2 unlikely patients or 2 patients with a lesser percentage chance of coming, that it could really do good things for the clinic. So
our overall recommendations is to really try and categorize those patients and minimize the amount of times you are actually randomly scheduling them. And double booking more than once per hour, we found that their current policy is not the most efficient. So if they can
So the numbers you came up with, 0.6 for the one model and 0.94 and the 4 groups, do you know how realistic they are?
Well, the 0.6 is pretty realistic because that's what Cameron was telling us in our first meeting, that between 50 and 70% is the show rate. And so the other 4, we just tried to keep inputting them until it looked similar to the 0.6 graphs. But she can change it as much as she wants.
Okay. So you didn't have any data to go on to help this. So what kind of data would you like to have?
We would love to have the clients, like their past history. We talked about dividing to 4, most reliable versus least reliable. It'd be great if we could see which patients, if they have an ADHD medication appointment, they come in all the time, put them as a 1, and then get to schedule them in a 1 spot. If you know a client is late habitually, then put them in a 4 spot. We also talked about just using, like, if you didn't have that kind of information because you don't know if they have it, using it just the type of patient that comes in. Like I said, if they're just going to pick up medication, they're probably going to be a 1. If they are a certain like mental illness that tends to not come as often, pick them as a 4. So it's kind of a backup plan if they don't have that data.
Any questions?
Of the 2 goals, like one is to utilize the doctors as much as possible,
Right.
and the other one is to minimize waiting time. Which one was more important?
We wanted them both to be, important, but what we ended up doing for our most realistic, or for our best model, was having the least amount of time being idle to the profit. Yes.
So was the major cost to double booking more times per hour, was that due to like patients having to wait? Is that the cost?
The cost is when a doctor is ready for an appointment, but no one shows up, then they're just sitting in their room, they're not like doing anything, they're not getting a patient in. So anytime that there's a 0 in the column of, anytime someone didn't show up, they're losing money. So when we double booked, there's a better chance that someone was going to be in the waiting room. But the con to that was that if both people came, then that makes the wait time longer. So it's like balancing.
They're not really losing money that much.
Right. It's just that's how we like described it, to best kind of be able to compare them. But that's how many kind of hours, how many minutes the doctor is idle.
What's your score?
Right.
Your metric?
Because since they're funded by the government, they get money per client they see. So anytime the doctor's idle and they're not seeing a client, then they're not like getting that funding. So you want as many spots filled per day as possible.
So just so I'm clear on the 31 different approaches, they vary by the amount of
Amount of double booking. It's the same amount of doctors that are there, but we just tell like 2 patients to come per hour, tell 3 to come per hour. You can see it in our Excel file that we have updated. But it's just how many in those 2 columns, how full the second column was basically, and what time of day it was more full.
Other questions? What was your greatest learning opportunity here? What did you learn?
I think just when our first meeting was very overwhelming. They have other problems too, like the outdated records and just trying to narrow down how exactly we could help. We wanted to do as much as we could. We had to make assumptions to be able to give something concrete and tangible. So just trying to narrow down and pick what our problem should be.
How was it learning Excel, or did you know all that stuff?
There were some things I learned. It was good. Yeah.
Started linking up.
Really, that's pretty fun to learn. Like doing the 1,000 trials is pretty cool.
Monte Carlo went in there.
From Professor Oleneck's class.
Yeah, they knew a lot of that to start with.
All right, thank you.